It's news around the world, into Africa and across the nation Nigeria. You're welcome to ITVS World News. My name is Anuloakpo Idowu. Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has directed the mandatory recitation of the national pledge at all official and public events in the country. This is to ensure absolute respect for the national symbols, strengthen allegiance and fidelity to country, and to preserve Nigeria's ethos and defining character, Presidential spokesperson Nigeria Ngelale said on Thursday in the statement. The president stressed the need to respect national values, promote the nation's ideals, and abide by its established norms. The statement added that Nigerians should be positive and hopeful that Nigeria is winning. The national pledge, which Mr. Tinubu said should be recited after the national anthem, calls on Nigerians to be faithful and loyal to the country. Furthermore, it is one of the country's national symbols, and directive comes as the country battles rising communal clashes between herders and local farming communities in the conflict over resources. Away from Nigeria now to Kenya, where Kenya's biggest referral hospital, Kenyatta Hospital, has performed a laparoscopic kidney transplant, becoming the first public facility in the country to conduct a minimally invasive surgical transplant procedure. The transplant was performed on 36-year-old Dixon Njoroge, who received a kidney from his cousin. The procedure uses small incisions on 36-year-old Dixon Njoroge to extract and transplant the kidney, aided by specialized tools such as computer-guided magnifying cameras. It is a departure from traditional open kidney transplants, which require large incisions on kidney recipients and donors. The hospital says that Kenyans no longer need to travel abroad to undergo the procedure. And Dr. Charles Waihenya and Dr. Paul Njogu, the lead surgeons, said that the laparoscopic kidney transplant offers multiple benefits, including less pain, less blood loss, faster recovery, lower cost, and better aesthetic outcomes. Laparoscopic kidney transplants are common in many parts of the world, but are yet to be widely adopted in African countries due to limitations in health infrastructure and surgical expertise. From Kenya now to South Africa, where South Africa's Foreign Minister Nalenda Pandor has accused Israel intelligence of trying to intimidate her following the Gaza case at the International Court of Justice, ICJ, according to local media reports. Ms. Pandor on Thursday told the Mail and Guardian News website that she was concerned about the safety of her family after having been targeted on social media. The minister said she had spoken to Police Minister Becky Cele after beefing up her security after she received threatening messages. Israel is yet to comment on the minister's remarks. However, last month, the ICJ directed Israel to take steps to prevent genocide against Palestinians in Gaza and give a report within a month. And South Africa had filed a case against Israel at the court over alleged human rights violations by Israel in the conflict. Ms. Pandor said the government was determined to see the ICJ case through. Her comments come a few days after President Cyril Ramaphosa spoke of a possible fight-back campaign against South Africa after the ICJ ruling. Meanwhile, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has said that the end to crippling power cuts in the country was within reach. He was delivering his annual State of the Nation's address ahead of elections this year, but offered no timetable for his promise. South Africa has been hit by regular blackout after years of underinvestment in the sector by the state economy, Eskom. The lack of power has damaged industrial output, and Mr. Ramaphosa also promised to increase the production of renewable energy and create thousands of jobs in the green economy. Meanwhile, there's been growing dissatisfaction among the electorate with the governing ANC for failing to deliver on previous promises to fight poverty and corruption in the country. In Malawi, Malawi has removed visa restrictions for travelers from 79 countries in an effort to boost tourism and trade in the country. The Homeland Security Minister, Ken Zikali, in a Gazette notice on Wednesday amended the immigration regulations, effectively lifting visa barriers for citizens from the United Kingdom, China, Russia, Germany, Australia, Canada, Belgium, Ghana, the Gambia, Sierra Leone, France, and others. Nationals from the Southern African Development Community (SADC) and the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa (COMESA) are also exempt from visa requirements, and this includes countries that impose visa restrictions and requirements on Malawian citizens. The changes also include exemptions for certain groups such as diplomats and government officials, and countries that have mutual exchange agreements for multiple entry visas with Malawi. The validity of multiple entry visas in Malawi is now up to 12 months according to the new visa regulations. The British Embassy in Malawi urges nationals to take advantage of the relaxed visa restrictions to visit a range of popular tourist attractions in the southern African country. Malawi joins Kenya and Rwanda in opening up their countries for African travelers. From Malawi now to Egypt, where the United States President Joe Biden has humored some Egyptians after he mistakenly referred to Egypt's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi as the President of Mexico. Meanwhile, Mexico's president is called Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador. Some accused Egyptians have taken to social media to point out the mix up is humorous, as Egyptians have long nicknamed President al-Sisi El Mexique, which translates to the Mexican, to avoid censorship. Many Egyptians have taken to the social media to express their humorous opinions, and in the United States, the mix-ups have sparked concerns about President Biden's health and cognitive abilities, but the leader has defended his mental fitness for the presidency. Still in the United States, where the United States has warned Israel that staging a military offensive into Gaza's southern city of Rafah without prior and proper planning would be a disaster. Some 1.5 million Palestinians are surviving in the city bordering Egypt in dire humanitarian conditions, and the White House said it would not support major operations without due consideration for the refugees there. The comments come days after Israel's leader said the military had been told to prepare to operate in Rafah. Speaking on Thursday evening and without referring to Rafah, United States President Joe Biden said Israel's actions in Gaza had been over the top. Salim El-Rayes, a freelance journalist living at a camp for displaced people in Rafah, said children were among those killed when an airstrike hit a house nearby. Ghada Al-Khord, a mother of two who said she had been displaced 6 times during the war, said she was expecting an Israeli assault but hoped there would be a ceasefire agreement between them before it happened. And earlier, United States National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby said the Israeli military had a special obligation as they conduct operations there or anywhere else to make sure that they are facing and factoring in protection for innocent civilian life. On Tuesday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he had ordered troops to prepare to operate in Rafah and that total victory by Israel over Hamas was just months away. Let's now switch focus now into the United States presidential review, where the former president, Donald Trump, has won the Nevada Republican caucus by a large margin. The only other person whose name was on the ballot was Ryan Brinkley, a pastor and a businessman. It means Mr. Trump will take on Nevada's 26 delegates, the system used by the parties to determine their presidential candidate. Initial results showed the former president gaining over 99% of the vote. He also won the Republican caucus in U.S. Virgin Islands and Incorporated Territory. Donald Trump's only serious challenger left in the race, former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, had opted not to take part in the Nevada caucus and to appear in the state's primary vote instead. In Tuesday's primary, Nikki Haley was beaten by the none-of-the-candidate option, but the result was symbolic, as the state's Republican Party had decided that only the result of the caucus would count towards the selection of the presidential candidate. The Associated Press reported that about 48,400 people voted for Mr. Trump compared to 381 for his rival, Ryan Brinkley. Nikki Haley's team said they did not take part in the caucus, claiming it had been rigged for Trump. Mr. Trump's next stop will be South Carolina, where he will again go head-to-head against Nikki Haley. Away from the United States now to India, where at least 4 people have died in the violence in a northern Indian state after authorities demolished a mosque, alleging it was constructed illegally. Violence broke out in Uttar Uttarakhand Alwali town during what police says was an anti-encroachment drive. Authorities said the drive was launched to clear illegal constructions, including the mosque and an adjoining madrasa religious school. But Muslims who prayed at the mosque say they have been unfairly targeted. Hundreds of protesters and police personnel were injured in the clashes which broke out on Thursday evening. Videos showed protesters setting fire to vehicles and pelting stones and police firing tear gas at them. A curfew has been imposed and the state has issued shoot-at-sight orders to bring the situation under control. Officials said that the latest was based on the High Court order asking authorities to clear illegal settlement from the area, and District Magistrate Vandana Singh said the mosque and the madrasa were demolished because they were illegally built on the government land and were not registered as religious structures. Muslim groups say they feel unfairly targeted under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Hindu nationalist government and accuse it of religious polarization ahead of the general elections due in 2 months, and the government has come to deny the allegations. The violence comes days after Uttarakhand passes the Uniform Civil Code (UCC), a new common law for all residents regardless of religion, sex, gender or sexual orientation. And here is a report courtesy of Azam Tribune News.
ना यार देखो खाली लोंडा आके हंगामा करते रहे ना भाई, ये है मसला, खाली अच्छा नहीं लगता ना यार। तो हमें यार खुशी हुई है, तुम हमारे भाई लोगों की कोई बात नहीं है।
India now to Brazil, where Brazil's ex-president Jair Bolsonaro has surrendered his passport as the investigation continues into the 2023 storming of Brazil's Congress by his supporters. Police accuse him of having led a failed plot to remain in power after losing the election to his left-wing rival Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. Mr. Bolsonaro says the operation is politically motivated. The three of Mr. Bolsonaro's allies have been arrested, including the head of his political party. They are suspected of plotting to keep Mr. Bolsonaro in power following his election defeat in October 2022. Police accuse them of spreading doubts about the electoral system, which became a rallying cry for his supporters who claimed the election was stolen from Mr. Bolsonaro. A lawyer for the former leader said his client would comply with the order to hand over his passport, and the ex-president returned to Brazil in March 2023, 2 months after the Congress storming. Say he had nothing to fear despite facing a number of investigations. But interest has been greatest in the investigation into the events of 8th of January 2023. Brazil's federal police only gave limited details about the operation it carried out on Thursday, but said it was targeting a criminal organization involved in an attempted coup. It's news around the world, into Africa and across the nation Nigeria. You're still on to the world news on Immaculate Television. And now a brief into the world of entertainment and sports, where The Truth is a Flightless Bird, the 2022 crime novel by Akbar Hussain, is currently being adapted into a series, Akoroko reported earlier today, Friday, February 9, 2024. The project is a collaboration between British-Nigerian producer and production company Chutso House, founded by the sibling trio Odiri, Nene, and Chukwudi Uji, and US-based Artist International Group. Set in both Kenya and the United States, according to the press release, Truth is a Flightless Bird is a brutal love letter to the frontier town that is present-day Nairobi. Co-written by Nene, the film will explore the depths Duncan must navigate in Nairobi's underbelly to save Nice, challenging his faith and identity amidst the city's moral complexities. Adam Tagum, known for his work on Banshee Cinemax, will serve as the showrunner, with production by Odiri and Alexei Ageyev. And in sport, the South African double Olympic champion Caster Semenya has appealed for help funding a legal battle against regulations that require female athletes with high testosterone levels to take medication. World Athletics, formerly known as IAAF, barred Semenya from competing in 800-meter event after she refused to take drugs to reduce her testosterone levels. She won a long legal battle last year when the European Court of Human Rights ruled that she was the victim of discrimination. But the Swiss authorities, supported by World Athletics, have appealed, and the hearing is due to start in May. And before we end the news, remember that you can stream our live programs on multiple digital platforms. For iPhone users, Lamex World TV app is where to find us, and for Android users, NetNiger TV app is where we are. Once and again, thank you for joining, and on behalf of the entire news production crew, I am Andolo Akpo Edowu. Thank you, and do take care of yourself. Bye.